All right, we begin with striking doctors are tonight reviewing their options after the national and county governments jointly ordered them to report back to work immediately or be fired. Further, the government has withdrawn the pay increase it had offered doctors and warned that only those who have not been on strike and those who will get back to work immediately will get the increment. And as Rita Tanina reports, it was a shocking turn of events that ironically came as Kenyans were expecting a big announcement after indications that the religious leaders had persuaded the doctors to end their strike.
At the Court of Appeal, judges gave parties in the doctors' pay dispute a further 1 week to reach an agreement. But in Naivasha, a tough-talking president had lost his patience with the doctors.
The doctors' grievances will not be addressed by creating new grievances of their own, because quite simply, two wrongs have never, ever made a right. We're not going to be able to achieve what you want overnight.
Uhuru Kenyatta's statement coming in the wake of a fresh dispute over the sequence of executing 3 issues. Doctors want a recognition agreement and a collective bargaining agreement signed first before a return to work formula. County governments, on the other hand, want the reverse. The fresh dispute emerged after religious leaders who took over the mediation process last week managed to get the doctors to cede ground on salaries and allowances.
And I need to say here quite clearly that if this round that they are now engaged with our religious leaders fails, we will be in a bit of a problem with them. This is blackmail and we are not going to entertain it.
Action came rather fast, less than an hour after Uhuru Kenyatta's tough talk. In one of those rare occasions where the president flanks someone else, Council of Governors Chairman Peter Munya delivered an equally tough statement on the sidelines of the devolution conference in Naivasha. The government says it had offered doctors a 50% pay increment and an additional 600 million shillings in risk allowances. That would have brought the doctors' annual wage bill to 14.5 billion shillings. It has now changed its mind.
This offer was on condition that the union signs the return to work formula and resume their duty. Since they have refused to do so, then this additional offer is now withdrawn and stands withdrawn.
The government has ordered striking doctors to resume work immediately, recalled all registrars and intern doctors, ordered disciplinary action against absconding staff, and promised adequate security for those who are not on strike and those who decide to go back to work. Doctors who have been at work will receive the new allowances. But that is not all. The government has its eyes on the registration of medical practitioners.
Subject to the existing law, the government shall immediately review the registration and the certification procedures for medical practitioners and the role of KMPDU in that process, with the view of reverting that function back to the Ministry of Health.
But doctors' union officials appeared unshaken by the government's action. In a statement, the KMPDU Deputy Secretary General says, "We wish to advise all the membership to maintain their resolve and stay calm. Listen to the union only."
After 93 days of grandstanding, doctors may have lost the battle for better pay. With a seemingly lost cause, it will be time for a reality check for the doctors as the president and county governments play hardball. Rita Tinina, KTN News.
So on our big here tonight, we ask you, do you support the action taken by the president and the governors against the striking doctors? Do you support that action? Talk to us tonight. We'd love to hear from you. Tweet us at KTN News, at KTN Kenya, at Sophia Wanuna, or you can send in a message to the number 22133. Remember, it's free to send in that message. So let's hear your thoughts on that move by the president and the governors against the striking doctors. Now, they're not sick, but they are suffering as a result of the prolonged doctors' strike. These are businesses that rely heavily on movements of patients and visitors within and outside Kenyatta National Hospital. KTN's Timothy Otieno now tells of a different group of people praying for a quick resolution to the doctors' strike.
The country's largest referral facility has no doubt borne the greatest brunt during the ongoing doctors' industrial action. The strike has significantly reduced the number of patients seeking treatment at the Kenyatta National Hospital. And the ripple effect of the disrupted traffic of patients is being felt outside the hospital. Small-scale businessmen and women who depend on the influx of people at the hospital for their daily bread. One such trader is 21-year-old Simon Juguna, who has been working at this tuck shop for the last 3 years as a cashier. Simon says it has not been business as usual ever since the strike began on December the 5th last year.
Biashara nayo imerudi chini because by the time walikuwa kwa job, so unaona sasa patients, watu walikuwa na zuru patients, ndio walikuwa wanatuletea do kwa biashara yetu. At least tunauzia kama snacks, vitu za kutumia, beseni, such, yeah.
On average, the shop would receive about 300 customers a day, raking in profits amounting to an average of about 20,000 shillings daily. Now, with as little as just 50 customers, the prospects of considering this business as profitable is dwindling by the day.
Itabidi tumefunga tu kazi because hatutapata rent na hatutapata za kulipa wakazi. So unaona itakuwa tricky juu utakuwa unaingia kwa mfuko, sasa unapeleka pesa yako pale na inafaa una exchange. Ukipeleka pale inatoa income, at least unajiboost pia.
It's an opinion shared by several food vendors here gravely affected by the strike that has seen the number of patients at the hospital reduce and subsequently the number of visitors who buy fruits here during visiting hours. The long and protracted doctors' strike has not only affected the medical field, but the 93-day-long industrial action is seemingly affecting small-scale businesses like this food shop here at the Kenyatta National Hospital, where Winfred tells me that on an average she sells these fruits at about 100 shillings to about 100 customers before the strike began. Right now, she can only serve about 20 customers, and that is in a good day. And Winfred says if the strike goes on any further, the future of such businesses may be bleak. Just a few meters away is 40-year-old Lawrence Kinyanjui, who is in the taxi business. Having ferried several patients to the hospital in the past, today he would be lucky to get a single client.
Tangu niingie hapa sijaiona kitu kama hao. Si wagonjwa wanakuja, si kazi tunapata. Ni ile tu ya kukuja kazi, utoke tu kwa nyumba, lakini si ati ni kazi unapata. Imekuwa wasi, imekuwa mbaya.
Lawrence, a father of 3 who depend on his business for upkeep, is one among 25 taxi operators within the hospital who choose to remain hopeful. Some have already quit the business.
Tunalalamika wote, hata wengine sasa wameshakaa nyumbani, sasa wanaona waache kukuja kwa sababu unajua ukikuja unatumia fare. Ukikuja huku na hapa hili unakuanga ni expensive, lazima ukule. Wengine wanashindwa.
And with the stalemate dragging, small-scale business operators are left to make do with the little they earn from their proceeds as silent victims of a strike paralyzing health operations countrywide.
At least hapo ndio shamba yangu, hapo ndio namkanga, at least napata pesa kidogo, nalipa rent na natumia mahitaji yangu. At least unafanya tu business zingine. Unacheki bado utapata yani capital ya kuweka side hustle. Unacheki. So mimi kisema ati imeshatiwa down, so itaniumiza pia. Itabidi tena nimeanza struggle kutafuta job nyingine. So unaona hiyo imeni affect pia kabisa.
So dire is the situation that buses plying this route have opted to redirect their fleet elsewhere because of the low numbers. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
The Kenyan government is set to recover over 380 million shillings worth of stolen public assets from the Jersey Island in the United Kingdom. The funds were confiscated by the Royal Court of Jersey in February 2016 after a defendant company, Windward Trading Limited, admitted to money laundering. Former Kenya Power CEO Samuel Gishuru and former Energy Minister Chris Okemo have been fighting extradition charges related to the alleged crime. A statement from the British High Commission in Nairobi states that the move to return the stolen assets is a powerful message that both countries are committed to combating issues of historic corruption and financial crime. The agreement was signed by Kenya's Treasury Permanent Secretary Kamau Thuge and Chief Minister of Jersey, Senator Ian Ghost. In a rare incident, Kenyan Deputy President William Ruto today told off police officers who advised him against accessing parts of Laikipia and Samburu counties, citing security concerns. The tough-talking Ruto said this was tantamount to surrendering parts of the country's territory to the control of criminals. Here's Patrick Amimo with that report.
The Deputy President made an impromptu visit to Rumuruti in Laikipia West, a day after armed herders shot dead Tristan Vuspai, a co-owner of Sosian Ranch in Laikipia North.
And nobody will perpetuate impunity that they can take up arms, take up people's property, and burn and shoot and kill innocent people. That will not happen. It's unacceptable.
But it was during a high-level security meeting with the County Commissioner of Samburu, Mohamed Birik, his Laikipia counterpart Onesimus Kiathia, and top police chiefs in the two counties that the officers found themselves in a tight corner. The Deputy President wanted to visit two administrative locations that have been described as dangerous.
There's a place called Ngelecha. Yes, sir. Do you know where it is? Yes, sir. I want us to land there.
The officers never expected this. They said Rugus is a no-go zone and that a police chopper could not find a place to land safely.
How can we say that there is a part of Kenya you people cannot go? Mnieleze. Alafu sasa wananchi wanafanya nini hapa? Situhamishe basi.
It's not viable for people there.
No.
Because of
there is nowhere a chopper cannot land. Just tell me it is not safe. And if you tell me it's not safe for askaris with guns to land in a place, na tunaambia raia ati wako Kenya.
Ruto said security personnel in the troubled North Rift should not surrender to criminals and bandits.
This is how we perpetuate impunity. Once we surrender some parts of Kenya to criminals, what you know, what are we saying? What are we saying? It's not possible. It's not possible. We cannot surrender 1 inch of Kenya to criminals. It's not possible.
And here is Ruto's last word to officers overseeing the security operation in Laikipia.
By next week, you people are not going to escape. By next week, we will have Anza Kupanga. Yes, you have to get rid of every criminal and every crook out of Ngelecha, out of Rugus.
The government will next week deploy 2 platoons of the General Service Unit to add to the 1,380 officers and 200 reservists. 2 more armored police vehicles will be deployed to assist in the operation. Ruto said no child should be found herding livestock in Laikipia and neighboring counties.
I am directing that all our security agencies round up all children that are looking after livestock in this county and in the neighboring counties and take them to school. No child. So before the livestock are driven out, all the children must be rounded up and taken to school.
A mother and 2 children injured by bandits in Laikipia were flown in Ruto's chopper to Nairobi for specialized treatment. Patrick Amimo, KTN News.
Pressure is now mounting on Kenya's security apparatus to explain the whereabouts of vocal Mombasa Republican Council leader Omar Mwamnwadzi Hamisi. For more than 1 year, Mwamnwadzi has not responded to court summonses, something that has left the Nairobi Senator Mike Mbuvi Sonko in a tight spot after he offered to stand for his surety. And as KTN's Coast reporter Francis Ontomo now tells us, the prosecution is now suggesting Mwamnwadzi could be tried in absentia.
Until 2008, little was known about separatist group Mombasa Republican Council. Although said to have started spreading tentacles from as early as the 90s, the group first found a place in the public limelight with the infamous secessionist call Pwani si Kenya, loosely translated as the coast is not part of Kenya. And during the uprising, one man, Omar Mwamnwadzi Hamisi, emerged as the face of the organization. Due to the group's engagements, Mwamnwadzi became a regular in court, but several months later, he ignored court summons. And now he just cannot be traced.
Ni kazi ya serikali na ni kazi ya polisi kumchafuta Mwamnwadzi pale alipo na kumleta na kumuonyesha na kumtoa mbele ya koti. Kwa hivyo wasicheze kiriba goji kiriba, italeta masuala ambayo si nzuri na kwa hakika familia inapata shida.
And whenever the courts fail to see Mwamnwadzi, one man finds himself on the spot. Nairobi Senator Mike Mbuvi Sonko is required to produce the MRC leader. The matter expected to come up in court on the 7th of April. Sonko appeared in court today.
I cannot withdraw their bonds, which I stood for them, because of Mwamnwadzi. It is the work of the police to look for Mwamnwadzi. I'm not a police officer, I'm not an investigator.
Top MRC leaders also facing similar charges appeared before the court, and what concerns them is the delay to find Mwamnwadzi. They do not feel safe either.
These accused persons have been attending court faithfully for the last 6 years. It is the prosecution which delayed their case. They did not bring their witnesses on time, their statements on time. So I blame the prosecution on this delay.
The entire time the focus was shifted to him, Mwamnwadzi for a long time remained a man under siege. And at the height of the struggle to push the organization's agenda, he was arrested at his Kombani home, bloodied and injured. The state was not going to watch him poison the coast. His family, however, was troubled, and to date, it has not got any better.
Hakuna gumu kwa serikali. Wanasema serikali ina mkono mrefu bwana. Serikali iko na machinery, serikali iko na intelligence, serikali iko na resources. Kwa hivyo serikali wakitaka kumpata watampata. Ni vile tu wajaivalia njuga.
Kwale, this is Mwamnwadzi's home and is perceived an MRC stronghold. Residents go on their businesses, and this is where the story takes us to. My trip to Kombani has failed to give answers as to the whereabouts of Omar Mwamnwadzi Hamisi. No one is even ready to speak about the subject. In July last year, the appellate court upheld a decision to lift the ban on MRC, in essence faulting the state's claim that the group posed potential threat to peace and stability of the republic. MRC has not once but in several occasions said the organization is legit and only in existence to pursue justice and equity for the people of Coast. They pledged to participate in the August national elections. But even so, it is clear that finding Mwamnwadzi must remain a top priority if the tide must come. Francis Ontomo, KTN News, Kombani, Kwale.
For years now, the bicycle has been the most visible mode of transport for majority of residents in Western Kenya. But now, bicycle bodabodas are experiencing a natural death thanks to the birth of motorcycle taxis. Here's our Western Kenya regional reporter, Robert Wanyonyi, delving into this transition.
This is the usual scenario on most of the roads in Western Kenya. Various boda riders literally attacking the rough terrain to make a living. Majority of these riders venture onto the roads, oblivious of the risks that come with lack of knowledge about traffic rules. This has made them vulnerable to accessions and blame whenever accidents occur. Most of the residents in this region of Western claim that the boda riders, especially those who use motorbikes, rarely give chance to those people who use vehicles. And I'm on the Kongoma-Webuye highway, just witnessing the same. I'm on the wrong side of the road. Most of the motorbike riders are accused of being in a hurry for quick cash at the expense of their passengers' safety. This has triggered a section of their customers to prefer bicycle boda.
baiskeli iko fair kwa means ya transport. Poa sana. Mtu wa pikipiki akitoka ni raha yake, yeye anaenda mbele sababu anaendesha pikipiki na amedharau baiskeli. Tena waangalie conditions za barabara.
Hawa watu wa boda zaidi wanaendeshanga kwa haraka, halafu hata wanaweza kuwa kwa barabara hapa, gari ikipika honi yako tu za hapa. Ikiwa unataka kuachana na mzee kufika haraka kwenu, tumia boda wa pikipiki. Atasoa vitu zote kwa nyumba aweke kwa pikipiki, halafu inaenda haraka sana, hata bwana yake akikutafuta hawezi akakupata.
Wewe kama mtu wa boda unaambiwa zoa hizi vitu tu unitoroshe. Wewe sasa hata ni mwizi na ule mama mwenye unatorosha. Sasa mimi nakataa hiyo, na tunataka kila chairman wa state ajue watu wake, ajue namba ya watu wake, na watu wakuwe discipline, wakuwe wasafi.
But the riders attribute the rising cases of road accidents blamed on them to moments when they have to flee from traffic police officers who arrest them for what they call non-existent crimes.
Kama kwa barabara ukuwe na kila kitu, anakusimamisha. Anataka shilingi yako 50. Hataki kujua wewe umepepa customer umetoa wapi. Wengine umepepa customer shilingi 50 ama shilingi 100, lakini anataka 50 yako. Wewe mafuta umemwaga hapo. Sasa hiyo ni shit.
Others attribute the rise in the number of motorbikes to health hazards associated with prolonged use of bicycles, adding that majority of riders are fast failing in meeting their matrimonial duties. But even here, there are some heated disagreements.
Pepa kasichana, hata umupigie honi.
Wanazaa tu si problem. Wanazaa tu ni pengine wame nini kazi inakuwa mingi sana.
But in spite of the apparent death of the bicycle boda and the birth of motorbikes, traffic police and the National Transport and Safety Authority are of the view that boda riders must take precautions while using the roads.
We have big plans to carry out education on drivers, to train them, bodas as well, and on major highways we are carrying out enforcement and also try to help people change.
Using a bicycle is always a tedious business in most parts of Western Kenya, considering that many roads are impassable. And this informs the reason why most riders are considering motorbike transport, in spite of the health hazards involved. Robert Wanyonyi, KTN News.